Matt Miller.
Militant Affection.
All right, everyone. Welcome to Militant Affection. I am Matt Miller, and this is Militant Affection. And I am ready to start telling you words from my mouth today. I got some sparkling water I am a-drinking, and I'm living my best life. I got blown earlier. Do you want to hear about that? Because I'm not going to tell you. Even though I just said it, and it's now on the cast. But we're 30 seconds in. So we can start talking about sex. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start talking about getting fucked. Let's talk about fucking. You know, I was just thinking, okay, I'll tell you this. I wrote this down in my notes. My first one night stand. I remember it was the week before Halloween, or maybe it was Halloween weekend. No, it fucking doesn't matter. I was alone somewhere, and I think I went as a doctor, and all I wore was a doctor thing, like a surgeon blue thing, and I was trying to get at this chick dressed as the Sphinx, or some Egypt shit. I was pretty drunk, and she wasn't having it. And then I ended up with this other chick. I don't know what she was dressed as. She was a rather big lady. She was dressed in all black, so maybe she was dressed as space or an abyss or something like that. But this was like a last minute night thing. I was going after the Sphinx chick. This was after last call. We were standing outside of the bar, and she turned me down, and I kind of blacked out or sometime at that point, and I turned, and I ended up talking with this rather large woman, which is fine, you know. People come in all shapes and sizes, you know. God, I burp all day. I can't stop drinking soda. I'm a complete fuck. Anyhow, well, this is not good for the ears. Anyhow, I remember we started walking back to my apartment. She fell over, and I picked her up, and I literally had to use all my body weight and lean back to get her back up. And my apartment was just too far for her. And we ended up taking a taxi, and then we told the taxi person that I was doing comedy. I didn't really have, if you're doing a timeline, I didn't really have one night stands in college. I had a girlfriend in college and a girlfriend after college. It wasn't until after that second girlfriend I was doing comedy that I started fucking bitches every day of my life. Anyhow, we took the taxi. So we had barely spoke. We knew little words. I knew nothing of her. And we stopped in front of my place with the taxi driver. It was a taxi driver. We didn't use Uber. We flagged a taxi. I think she paid for it. Or I don't know. And she smoked cigarettes because she didn't take care of her body. You know, cigarettes. It's fine. I fucking don't take care. Nobody takes care of their body. We just live a hardcore life, us people. And we smoked cigarettes with the taxi person. Me, her, and the taxi person outside of my apartment for a little bit and talked about comedy, because I guess this taxi person wanted to do comedy, and he started pitching jokes to us, and pretty much all his jokes were just homophobic jokes. Like, all his jokes ended with, like, a guy, he was talking about, like, fucking, I don't know, dating with a guy in his car. It turns out the guy was dating dudes. He's like, isn't that funny? The guy was gay. Like, that was the punchline. That break was brought to you by Bubbly Water. I don't know which chain is this CVS or Walgreens. And we were talking about his homophobic jokes, and we all smoked a cigarette, me, this chick, and him. And then we went inside and we continued to talk in my living room. I remember my roommate came out, and like, 'cause she was being loud, and then we ended up fucking in my room, and I was using a condom because I'm very safe. And then when I was going to finish, she's like, you can't come inside of me, come in my mouth. And I did that, and the next day she left. So that was the first one night stand. That's funny though. I mean, I've since had so many And it's funny that someone will just let someone else come in their mouth. We had no talk about who was clean or not, and she was just like, come in my mouth. So that was in my topics, so I'm glad we got that out of the way. Just blow that out early if you guys want to know that story. That was a fun story. That was a fun time going. A fun time going. But what I was going to talk about today was my anxiety in life, because I get so anxious around people. You know what I'm saying? So much anxiety in life around people. And generally, I walk around and I'm nervous all day. I know you're looking at me, or you're hearing me, and you're like, this is the most confident man I've ever heard. And it's just not true. I am freaking anxious and anxiety-ridden at all times. I would, like, plan activities around, like, getting drunk beforehand. If it was, like, a party or, like, I was going out or whatever, I would, like, have to, like, I'd set, like, certain time periods to get fucked up, so then it'd be easier to go out. I don't know if I described this before, but there was a few years of my life where I would, like, go to work, and then I'd, like, on a Friday, Saturday, I guess I didn't work on Saturdays, and then I'd drive out and I'd drink, like, a bottle of wine or, like, a bunch of whiskey in a Gatorade bottle before, like, within, like, half an hour to an hour before I entered, like, a bar, and then be like, I'm gonna pick up chicks. And it did work. You know, if you try to pick up people, also I'm handsome as fuck, it eases it, you know, but it probably wasn't good. So much drunk driving, as described before. You should never do it, but I would do it all the time. I would just go to one specific bar, and I would dance, you know, and get more fucked up, and I'd try to stay a certain amount of fucked up where I could drive home, and then try to pick up ladies. Was my method here. And you'd be like, Matt, why are you going with friends? I don't know, my friends were lame then. I do things very alone a lot of the time. I like to do things sort of my own thing. I think it's a control issue, do things alone. Of course, I've gone out with friends a bunch, but, like, I've gone out alone a bunch. You know, for someone, like, I talk about, as I mentioned, having anxiety, which everyone has. It's not even an issue, and being anxious and being a fucking weirdo. But I go out alone a lot, which is, I guess, something people are afraid to do. But it's easier for me. Oh, it's not. I don't know. But I can do it. It makes sense to me for some reason. I'm not afraid to go out alone. I'm not afraid to tell jokes on stage. I'm just afraid of everything else. Like, I feel more comfortable, like, because I do stand-up, right? I still get nervous to go on stage, but, like, I feel more comfortable being, like, confident of going, like, talking on this or on my YouTube channel or on stage. I have, like, the opposite of stage fright. I feel more confident being on stage. And it's probably just some narcissistic shit, or just, like, some like, attention whore shit. Like, I know if you, because I know here, if you listen this far, you're listening, you know? Or if I'm on stage, like, I'm supposed to be saying things. But, like, when it's just life, it's like, what am I even saying to people? Is this rambling or is this real? You know what I'm saying? I've talked to therapists about it. I don't know. They're all annoying. Everyone's annoying. Everyone's not annoying. But, yeah, anxiety. So, yeah, I go out alone a lot. Or, like, in group situations with a bunch of people. I have hard, like, handling all the conversations that are happening and, like, interjecting and, like, da-da-da-da, you know what I mean? Yeah, maybe it's a control thing. And, like, I analyze people whenever I enter a room. Like, I analyze, like, who's, like, most, like, the top of the social hierarchy, and who's, like, underneath them. And, like, how the whole social dynamics are run in the room based off people's actions, or if other people are, like, looking up to them or whatever. I try to break down, like, I'm a fucking, not a sociopath, but, like, a crazy person. Where, like, anytime I'm in a social situation, I'll instantly try to be like, oh, this is that guy. Oh, that's that girl. I'll try to put everyone in a role, figure out how everything's broken down, you know what I mean? Based off people's actions. Not really based off what they say, but based off, like, their presence, I guess. And it gets annoying that I do that every time, and it makes me socially conscious. Conscious? Because I try to figure out everyone's place in society when I enter a room. and I'm tired of doing it, and it's annoying, but that's just how my brain works, so that's fun. Yeah. I don't know. I remember I met a gal who I dated for a while, and she really questioned, because like I met her when one of these times I went on alone, and later she's like, were you really just like, because I was like very smooth, I was like, I went out to meet you. And then she was like questioned, she's like, did you really come out to meet me, or were you supposed to meet some other girl here and she didn't show up, so you were here? And I was like, no, I just went on alone, which is fun. Yeah, I go out alone a lot to bars. There was one time when I was really going hard, going out alone to bars to meet chicks, where I went out like 5 nights in a row. Just got drunk every night. It was like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was like, that's only 4. Maybe it was only 4 nights in a row. This was all post-college, and I was struck out all the time. But it's funny if you actually try, you can meet people. You know, people that aren't meeting people just aren't trying. You know, if like a dude isn't meeting chicks, he's just not trying. If you try a bunch, you're gonna meet someone, and it's just that simple. If you just try a lot, it will eventually work out. Unless you're a piece of shit person, or you look like somebody drilled a couple holes into your skull and implanted floppy dicks in your forehead, and people don't want that, you know, in their life, a floppy dick man coming up to them with 2 separate dicks in their forehead flopping up and down, each squirting different jisms at them, like a red jizz, which you might think is blood, actually food coloring, and then a blood jizz, which is bad. You know, people aren't going to like that. And that's your problem. And you're never going to meet someone like that unless you get those surgically removed. And I'm not saying not to respect your body and not appreciate what God gave you, but if you got 2 giant floppy dicks coming out of your forehead, then you're going to need some help. God, what a perfect title for this. If you got, that's too long though, 2 floppy dicks. I wish like half this podcast was me re-saying what I said. Then I'd only have to do 15 minutes. Because frankly, starting to do this was very hard. I did like 3 hours of playing a basketball game on my phone. And fucking, if you got floppy dicks on your forehead, fucking fuck. So anxiety, going out alone, can't talk in groups. I've been on, even most recently, I've only been in New York a year. And I've just slept with thousands of women, and that's not true. But I mean, my first 2 like Tinder hookups, like I showed up to the date like maybe 3-4 drinks deep. I would meet at bars I would never meet. And, this was described in the last one if you heard it. Like 3, 4, 5, 6 drinks deep, right? Just drunk just to talk to them. And then in both ones, I would go to the bathroom and finish another 3 nips, and then continue it. And then we just fucked. It's interesting, those. The fucking's never, like, discussed. But we'll just come to the end of the date, and then she'll be like, you're just coming over. Because I'm smooth as hell. I'm good one-on-one, you know? I'm good one-on-one. If you're just hearing me one-on-one, I bring the best game. My game is tight. I have a tight game. I dance. I'm fucking great at dancing. If you didn't know that about me, I'm fucking great at dancing. People don't expect it. I remember one time I was at a work party, and I had a girlfriend at the time, and my boss at the work party, they're like, how'd you meet? And they're like, well, he danced over to me, and that's how we met. We met dancing, and then he's like, no, you didn't, because I'm basically just really shy in a work setting, and I don't talk a lot, because I don't know because I'm like, I like to just say crazy things, I guess, or be weird, so I just shut down if I don't know I can be like that. And he's like, no, Matt's just a shy, quiet kid. He wouldn't dance over. But no, I fucking dance like a fucking lunatic. I had to teach myself how to dance. Because before, I was so nervous to talk to girls. So I was like, I got to figure out a way how to get them to come to me. And I said, I'll fucking dance. I'll fucking dance. And I danced my own way. I got into a dance fight once a while ago where this guy was like dancing in a circle and he took off his shirt. And I just thought he was a fucking idiot. So I entered the circle to dance with him, and then like he put like the bull horns on his head, and he came at me, And I like grabbed him under his shoulders and I threw him to the other side of the circle. And then we shook hands. We didn't really fight, and he left, and I won that battle. It was years ago. But so I danced one time. This fucking so this was all in Cambridge when I lived in Massachusetts. This Asian kid, I don't know why I have to tell you the race, but who went to MIT, saw my dancing, and he asked me to audition for his Asian breakdance group. So I'm great, is what I'm saying. Best top 8 dancer over, well, yeah, I guess I'm over 220. I might be under 220. I've been eating salads lately, drinking bubbly water, burping so much, trying to hold back the burps. All right, I can't hold it back. I'm living my best life. Some people edit their podcast, but my favorite podcasts just have all real shit in it. I just live a real life. I'm a real man with a real purpose, and I come for you. Dancing. I dance like a motherfucker. Getting drunk. Going on dates. Getting fucked up. This is kind of unrelated. This is a fun story, though. One time in so weed is a drug that I may allegedly smoke. It's legal in my home state, not in my current state, which is a state of emergency. No, one time I bought weed when I was in college from this drug dealer where we went to his place. We were all fucked up and drunk, and we bought weed, and he kept his weed in a bag labeled weed, like he was going to confuse it with his other drugs. Like he's like, what is this one? Cocaine. What is this one? Ecstasy. What is this one? Cereal. But yeah, he kept a giant bag of weed labeled weed. Like the police are going to come in and be like, does this guy have weed? Oh, this is the weed bag. And that's that story. The story I just told is the story. I bought a drug dealer, and he provided me with drugs. No, I went to see a drug dealer in college, and he kept all his drugs in bags labeled the drug. Like he wouldn't know the difference between weed and cocaine. Like he's like, this is all green and weed-like, but this could be cocaine. I'm a fucking moron. And I remember I smoked that weed, and I've had a weird relationship with weed ever since. Weed really fucks me up. So I mentioned earlier that when I try to break down social shit at all times, like this person's like this, that person's like this person's that, this person's fucking fat, this person's fucking fatter, this person's the fattest. I break down social shit. But weed makes me enter that part of my mind even more, and I get even more cynical and shit when I smoke weed. But the thing is, as you may know, or if you're just starting here, I like to come high. It feels really good. And sometimes I think of good things when I'm high, but mostly I have to get high alone. If I get high amongst people, I'm now in my own head, and I'm just like living in this weird universe where I'm breaking everything down. It's not good. Like people would always want to smoke, and I'd smoke too, but I'd be like, I want to leave this situation, go home and deal with this, because I can't be out and be high, because I'm a nutcase. But yeah, weed. I did mushrooms last year for the first time. Mushrooms really just was kind of like, mushrooms got me high as fuck. Got me as high, like higher than weed, right? It was a lot of fun. I remember I was trying to have sex on mushrooms, and you just can't finish, and you're kind of just right there forever, just like And I think at one point I thought I was fucking, and I wasn't, and I was just like, I'm not even doing anything, and I just think I'm fucking. But weed just made me think, mushrooms just made me think the same thoughts as weed, just amplified, which were my same cynical thoughts I think when I'm just sober and out. So that was great, but the person I was with kept bringing me to a sexual mindset to bring me out of that darkness, which actually was probably for the better, because, yeah, getting so dark may have fucked it up. It's sort of a big emotional experience, smoking weed. The person I was with, got twice into these dark spirals where they ended up crying, and we thought about how dark life is and stuff like that. So if you've never tried mushrooms, yeah, it's an interesting experience. You don't have to do it. Nobody has to do anything. Do whatever the fuck you want. Just eat candy your whole life and die is something I added at the end of that sentence. But it's an interesting experience nonetheless. All right, what other topics do I got? Anxiety is what I wanted to base this episode on. And anxiety is something have struggled with all my life. I was a very quiet child. In high school, I was so quiet. Nobody would have talked to me. Let me do this joke for you. This actually is based off reality. I used to write a lot in high school, like short scripts for things. I wrote a short script that was called Saditude. It was about a bunch of high schoolers whose attitude were sad. High schoolers. It's called Saditude, which is the lamest shit of all time. And this is the joke I do. Some of these characters are real, some of them not. So there's like a whole list of characters in the Saditude. There was Susie. She was suicidal. There was Depressed. He used his dick to make a panini press. There was Matt, which was me. There was, and then there was someone named Cry Man, and that was my dad. And those were all jokes. That was it. But yeah, that joke that I've said on stage, I kind of fucked it up. I don't really do it. It was true. I did write a Saditude. It's a little different. My tour de force of pieces I wrote in high school was this piece called What Matt Did Outside, in which in the story, like, I talk about fucking a dog, and there's a lot of other things, and it's very interesting. The script's somewhere. I could probably pull it out one of these days. But I just remember I started just showing it to people because this was like senior year of high school. I never really revealed my art to anyone, and I started showing it to people, and people thought it was funny. And then this one girl was like, "Oh, can I be the dog?" And I was like, "Fuck, you want me to fuck you? Want me to fuck you as the dog? You want me to fuck you? Can I fuck?" I just wanted to get up into a fuck fest there. Yeah. In high school, there was this one girl I really liked that I sat next to in this science class, and I would show her my art, and she would read it, and it was always nice. It's a nice, grand old time. And then I made this like short film kind of about like crushing on someone because I was so sad. And it's one of my first YouTube videos. If you go back, the video was kind of about high school or like being lonely or liking someone. And I'm just a fucking pussy. No, I don't know. I'm much different now. Or I'm the same. Or you don't know. Or nobody knows. Does anyone really know me? I haven't spoken to my mom in a month. I haven't spoken to my dad in a month. You know? I just live my own life. But yeah, I made this whole like 6-minute YouTube video about this gal. It's very interpretive. You have to figure out what I'm really saying in it. But it was when I had a camera. It's done with a bunch of like cut out construction paper, and I spent a lot of time making it. I made it like that whole summer, I think between senior year and first year of college, or the summer after that. Who the fuck cares? The first gal I ever dated was in college, my first girlfriend. And I remember there was one time like she liked me early on, and I was too much of a pussy poo to make a move. And like there was one night where we slept together, and we didn't fuck, but we slept in the same bed, and she rested her hand on my cock-a-lock-a-doong-dong, and she didn't realize it for a while, and I was just sitting there like, oh, hands on my cock. And then she did, and she went, and freaked out. And that was it. Yeah, so then like because I wasn't making a move, she just started doing other things. She wanted me to stop liking her, so I just started going to the gym, getting ripped. I was doing pull-ups, living my best life, listening to sad music on my headphones. Nobody knew how sad and dark and damned I was inside. And then eventually, at the end of that college time, we started just making out in her bed, having grand old time. Like, she was rubbing her puss against my cock. We weren't fucking, but I remember one time she was doing it, and like I came, and I was worried that some of the cum slipped into her puss. And she was like, oh, and then she's like, no, I'm worried too. And I'm like, nah, it's probably fine. And it was fine. And then the summer came, and we were doing whatever. And there was one time in particular where I was at like this party, and we were texting each other, having a grand old time. And then we went back to college, and we ended up getting together. And that was a nice old time. It was a fun old time. So yeah, that's some early relationship stuff. relationship stuff, some anxiety things. I remember the first time, it wasn't the first time she gave me oral sex. One of the early times she gave me oral sex. In the middle of it, my dad's like, I'm 5 minutes away from picking you up. And I was like, oh shit, I picked up the phone, like the phone is ringing. She's like, you can pick up the phone if you want. Well, she was like, you can pick up the phone if you want. And I was like, okay. And my dad's like, I'm 5 minutes away. I was like, oh shit, you gotta blow me fast. And she did. And I went to see my dad. Yeah, very early young relation. I was a late bloomer in life. Very late bloomer, which is why now I'm going nuts, because I didn't do all that fun little stuff in old high school. I never had that. I did go to prom with someone. I didn't even go to my own prom. I went to prom with a girl a year younger than me, who we worked together, and I was so funny. She asked me. Well, she told someone to ask me, and I said yes, and we went. And I was all nervous and weird, and then that was the end of that because I'm so fucking weird. Yeah, I guess that's some more anxiety stuff. This is a real anxiety episode. So anxious. I still want to call it floppy dicks on your forehead, but I don't know if that flies in fucking iTunes and YouTube. But, I don't know what flies anymore anyhow. Yeah. So, guys, I guess what I'm trying to say is you shouldn't be all anxious and stuff. You should just live your life. No, I still fucking struggle with it all the time. With fucking going out and talking to people, and, I'll shut down in group scenarios. I'll just stand there and look and be like, eh. I guess it might be a control thing, or I feel like I need to be the center of attention. When I'm not, I don't know how to act. And, that's something I really need to work on with myself, People, it was, the number one fear, public speaking. That's not really my fear. I can just public speak all day. I fucking destroy it. I'm a charismatic fucking fuck. One time, a gal told me that, she's like, you're just, it's just whatever. We had dated, and she was just like, just when you're on stage, you're, so attractive. When you're doing that, you're so, confident. And then I remember I worked with a guy who saw a bunch of my YouTube videos, and he was comparing them to how I am in real life. And he was like, yeah, on your videos, you seem so confident and outgoing, and then I know you, and you're just not like that. And I'm like, well, I'm fucking a nutcase. I know how to put on when I can put on, but I don't know how to not put on. I don't know how to be 75%. I can be 0 or hero, This is a fun story. One night I went out a little bit ago, a while ago. It was within the last year. And I was so fucking hammered. I was with my friends, and I was just going up to gals, asking them to rank my friend 1 through 10. I was like, what do you rank him? I guess I asked every girl in the bar to rank him, and then I was re-asking girls, and they were just fucking running away and shit. I kept going, what do you rate him? And I don't even remember doing this at all. And my friend was like, this is the funniest I've ever seen you. And I'm like, damn, I was blackout, and I was doing all this. Just asking all these gals to rank my friend. Fun story about that bar is that's the bar where I got punched in the face on New Year's Eve, and I am now banned from it. But had a few fun times, had told girls to rank my friend 1 through 10, which is a good icebreaker, get people to rank him. I think there was one part where she gave him a high score, a 9 or something, and I said, she says you're 6 or something like that, or a 4. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's one time I blacked out and I came to, and I was with this gal, and her friend's like, what are you doing with this guy? He's so drunk. And then she's like, he can't drive home. I need to help him. And I'm like, I don't even remember talking to any of you. And then I just was like, fuck it, I'm going to go get pizza. And I beelined it. I never did the blackout where you wake up at someone's apartment. I never really did that. I've never done that. I generally black out, and then I would wake up on top of my laptop and phone and everything expensive, just sleeping on it, sweating alcohol sweat all over it. That's my general blackout when I do. One time I blacked out at a bar, and I woke up the next day, and in my pocket were medical papers. Did I already tell this story? I don't know. That said I'd been checked into the ER, and it said to seek a 12-step program to help with my drinking. So, and I checked in as Tom O'Hagan or something like John O'Hagan, just a fake name, and I didn't have insurance at the time. And they gave me a form that just said you need to get help for your drinking. So I got so drunk that someone I met along the line had dropped me off at an ER. And like it was when I had I had changed apartments, and I saw on the app that like I went to the bar and I Ubered to an old apartment, which was like far away from a different apartment. And then I must have like took the train down, and maybe someone on the train took me to the ER. And then I ended up going back up to the wrong apartment, and I came to when I was so far from my house, and it took me forever to get home. This was in New York on the subway, and that was just a whole fucking mess of a night. I've fallen asleep early on when I moved here. I would fall asleep. So many burps. I'd fall asleep on the subway, and I'd wake up like at the last stop and of the whatever line I was on. I'd be like, fuck. And then I just have to be like fucking headache hungover just taking the subway so far back to wherever my apartment was. So I was real fucked up when I first moved to New York. I think this was cataloged in my older podcast that was called Regret the Podcast. But now this Militant Affection, this hot one that I've been doing, this is the story again. So just listen to this one. But we've done enough time. You've heard about me being anxious and anxiety-ridden, and you've heard some of my fuck stories. So hopefully you enjoy that. I have the best posture in the game if you're watching it. And I'm at Matt Miller Real on all your social media needs, except for the ones I'm not on. And Matt Miller Comedy on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you.
Militant Affection.